everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of FanFictionally. I am now in a full-blown war against my allergies, so week 2 brought to you by Benadryl. um, so today I've got apple cider, and you guys grab a drink and have a seat, and we'll get into it. We've got some interesting questions and a couple of topics to cover today. Not to mention our usual little games that we play, so and results from last week. But so we'll get right into it with Q&A. The first question is the lovely Abyss Chronica's weekly question. So she asked, who are characters of One Piece that you find the hardest to write? I think I've covered this before, but Luffy's definitely one of the hardest for me, which you will notice because I do not have any books based on him. He's always kind of a background character for me, which is funny because he's the main character of the actual anime. But yeah, I think he's really difficult to write for just because he's so not interested in romantic relationships, and I don't really write for things other than that, I guess you could say. Some people do write him really well and have written reader inserts for him that I've really appreciated, where they didn't take him to OOC, but I feel like you have to kind of, if you're gonna put him in a relationship, I think. I do have him in my book, The One, which I probably reference way too much for you guys on here. I do have him as a background character in that because her relationship with her brothers is like a big thing for her. And I do have him in a relationship with Nami, but I try not to focus on them too much. So it's kind of, I think it insinuates more than I've had to like confirm in comments in my comment section that they are actually together. But I find him hard to write for. I think any character that we haven't seen a whole lot of is going to be difficult to write for. I know I have a killer book, but I do find him difficult to write for because we don't know a lot about him, and we know more about him now, but spoilers, because of the predicament that he's in currently, we don't really get to see much of his personality. So there's that. Who else? There's a lot. I feel like Mihawk would be really hard to write for. I always have him kind of somewhere in the background lurking. He gets a mention occasionally in books. I think Shanks initially was a hard person for me to write for, but that's because I read a lot of fictions with him, and people like to make him kind of a drunk, goofy guy, and I don't think he's like that all the time. I think that he can be a little more complex than that, so that's why I introduced him kind of as the reader and the one's first kind of love interest. And I do have a Shanks reader insert or a Shanks reader book, and it hardly ever gets updated because I have a hard time writing for that one, but it's not so much because of Shanks, but I think it's because of the storyline that I chose for that book. That one's called Online. You guys are always demanding for updates from it, and I am working on one, so you'll get to see that soon. But yeah, those are difficult ones to write for. I used to think Kid was really difficult to write for. I know that one of the first books that I did was a kid reader book, but he's hella OOC in that, and I'd like to do something to make up for that, and do a better a better version of him. But nothing holds a candle to the way you write him. See, so I'll never be able to do it like you. Captive is such a great book. So those are a few of the ones I think are hard to write for. I also think, Frankie was super hard. I did a one shot for Frankie, and that was really difficult. And he's not really kind of that, he's not really in it as much, for being something that's based on him, but he's a difficult character to write for too. I think any of the characters that are kind of silly, are going to be difficult, but also characters that are too serious too. And, like I already said, if we don't know a whole lot about their personality, of course, they're going to be difficult to write for. Um, so thank you for the question. The next one is Camellia on YouTube asked if I ever, well, she says, have you ever thought about doing something about a Luffy times reader? I feel like it would be difficult due to his disinterest in romantic issues. Bingo. As previously stated, yes. I personally have never thought to do a romantic book with Luffy because he's so disinterested. Um, and he's just like a little cinnamon roll, and like, does he know really what love is? um, uh, I don't know. I don't. I see writing something for him being super super difficult, but maybe in the future, maybe if we get to see him get a little older and mature a little bit more, we could see that side of Luffy. But I don't think we're anywhere near it right now. So I am definitely not going to write one for him because I'm not going to put myself in that position. But I know some people have, and they've done a good job with it. Kira Reno has a Luffy reader book that's really cute. So, some people can do it. I just don't think I can. I also have to have like a good quality of angst in mind that I don't feel like I could provide with Luffy because he's so goofy. But maybe one day. I don't know. I won't write it off completely, but definitely not anytime soon. Thanks for the question. Green on YouTube asked or said, what are your thoughts on where I should draw the line between unreadable and bearable with spelling / grammar / punctuation? There are popular books with writing that I personally cannot read. I feel bad. It's got thousands of reads, so it must be good, but I'm not reading it. I kind of paraphrased her there at the end because the question was quite long, but I feel you on that. I do feel bad because I think I've come across quite a few on Wattpad that I just couldn't get down with it because of the grammar and the punctuation and the spelling. But also I think, and I don't want to take away from the works that we've, got already or that I've got already, but I think a lot of viewer counts like that come from the first chapter of someone checking it out and then leaving. So if you look at the first chapter of any book is going to have a higher reader count than a chapter in the middle. So I think you can better base it off of a middle a middle chapter reader count just to see who made it that far. You know what I mean? And maybe that sounds terrible, but I get it. Like I said previously, grammar, spelling, punctuation, it can be a huge turnoff, and it can just make your story way too hard to read, especially if, not especially if, but if particularly if your story is, simple. I don't know. It's up to you because it's gonna be more of a personal preference, I guess. Um, and if you want to see if you can power through a whole thing just because it's got a lot of reads and you think it might be good, then, kudos to you because I don't think I can do it. I don't want to have to rack my brain or fight to enjoy something just because it's got a lot of reads. And I feel bad. I do feel bad for that. But it's up to you. But I totally understand where you're coming from, and I'm the bad guy that will put it down. The next question is from Danny Laurel on Wattpad. She said, do you try to be more original, parentheses, true to your own needs, in parentheses, or write to deliver to your reader's needs? You have to have a mix of both, I think. You want to stay true to yourself and the story that you've planned out, but you also want to kind of give readers what they want and not necessarily bend to them, because there have been things that you guys have asked me to do that I've just been like, no. But to an extent, you want to make sure that your readers are going to enjoy it, right? And that they're going to come back. and check out other things that you've written too. It doesn't hurt to get suggestions or to play off of a suggestion. I've definitely done that in the one. I had a reader suggest kind of a background plot for Zoro and the reader, and it worked out really well because I was trying to work something out like that anyway. And her suggestion kind of clarified it all for me. So, and I did give her a shout out in that chapter for it. And it's kind of the whole reason behind the nickname the reader has for him. But um, yeah, so I definitely play more to my needs and what I've got planned out for my own book because it's mine. It's yours. It's your creativity. And I definitely think you should do what you've got planned. But to an extent, you want to make your readers happy too. So I get that. Yeah. I think you just need to find a balance. I'm probably still trying to find that balance. Or, I don't know. I try. But there's definitely kind of a give and take for that. But that's it for today's questions. There wasn't a whole lot going on this week. It's been kind of quiet. But next week, if you guys, or after this podcast airs, if you guys have any questions, like I said before, it doesn't have to be specific to writing or writing fanfics. It can be about One Piece. It can be about other animes. If I've seen them, I will answer it. It can be about personal preferences I have, as long as it's not creepy. I don't mind answering stuff for you guys. Advice, whatever, just hit me up. You know where to get me, and I'll announce my social media platforms again before we end here, but it's going to be, Wattpad, Instagram, YouTube, DeviantArt, Twitter, wherever, you can find me. You can ask me a question. I'm not particularly, held down to one particular platform. So, today's topic, for main discussion is, I've got a couple of them. I had seen that there was a big debate about fan fiction being considered original work. And that is a touchy subject. I think if if you live in the fan fiction world and that's what you write, like myself, I think there's platforms now where people can get paid for subscriptions, Patreon, stuff like that. There are paid writers on Wattpad. I don't think any of the writers that I've seen so far have any fan fictions that are up for paid subscriptions, but it might be a possibility at some point in the future. Who knows? I know that there are some people that don't see it as original work, and I'm kind of I've been offended by that because my stories are original and my thought process going into them is very original, and the characters interacting with the reader, and I do add some OC elements to mine, original character elements, to some of my books that is that's original. It's something I came up with on my own. The only thing that's not original is that you're borrowing the main character, or the male or female lead characters, from an anime or a manga. And that's where you kind of cross the line from being original, I guess. I think it's a good mix. So I don't know. It's hard to say because I didn't make those characters and I didn't make their personalities. I had to learn them and learn how to manipulate them in a different world. So that's where I think it goes into originality, is you're taking them out of their normal setting. That's why most of the books that I write are AUs, except for My Killer Story, which is one of the hardest ones I have, because I don't write well keeping to other people's time frames and plot points. Because it's, that's not my original thing. Some people work really well with that. I just don't. So Silent is not updated as often as other things could be, just because I'm not coming up with the main storylines or the main setting. I guess the world that they're in doesn't belong to me. Even though there's lots of room in the One Piece world, because there's so many different elements of things, and Oda's reach is so vast, from like a modern world to back in the days where pirates actually existed for us. So um, I think it's difficult for me to write for for that. But when you take them into an AU setting, you're in control of all of that. So really, you're only borrowing that character. Should you get paid for it? I don't know. I would like to, but I think part of me would feel bad because I didn't come up with those characters. I'm just writing out their personalities in a scenario that I've come up with. So I don't know. That's a difficult one, and I guess we'll see what happens as we get further, as I get further into this world, and how far we can make it go. But yeah, it would be nice to get paid to do fan fiction. But I think there's lines that would definitely be crossed for that. Speaking of originalness or originality, I wanted to talk about the difference between being inspired by someone's work and straight up fucking plagiarizing. Recently I had a friend who, I won't name her, but she's a popular author and she'll know what I'm talking about. She's had her book so far, I think, plagiarized twice, where someone just straight up copied it and pasted it as their own. In the first instance, they copied and pasted it directly, same title and everything, but took credit for it and translated it into a different language. It happens to be her native language, hilariously enough. So she knew exactly what it was, and was able to report it and get it taken care of. This most recent situation, someone claimed that they were paying homage to her, and that they were inspired by her book, named it something different, but basically copied and pasted her first chapter up, and were claiming it as their own. And they changed some elements, I think, of it. If I'm wrong with that, correct me, but they changed some elements of it. But ideally, or ultimately, not ideally, we're claiming that they have written it and come up with it, just that it was inspired by that person's book, which I think if you had read her book and then read this book, you would know that it's straight up the same exact story. So there's a big difference between being inspired by somebody and just straight up stealing their work. I mean, I've definitely been inspired by things that I've seen and storylines that I've read, but I've never just straight up taken it. It's so fucked up. And lazy of you. So it's fine to be inspired by somebody and to say that someone's inspired you. There's one of my readers started writing a Marco Reader book that was, she said, inspired by me. And it's nothing like my story, but she has them all set as brothers. How kind of the same way I do. They're younger in her world. Her reader's completely different. It's very well written. There's nothing about it is the same as mine. And that's very flattering. And and it's a good book, actually. And I was very flattered to have inspired her to write something like that. That's the route that you want to take. You want to look at something and read it and be like, man, I wish that I could come up with something like that, and play off your own ideas and be inspired, but not copying and pasting, you guys. Like, have your own original ideas. It's so disrespectful to take somebody else's hard work and pass it off on your own. Even taking somebody's idea, as far as like a storyline goes, that's still not original. And it's still not your own. So it's still not stealing, but still taking it away from the person who originally came up with it. Uh, yeah, I don't I don't understand why people do that, especially if it's a popular book and other people are gonna see it. So that person was asked to take it down, and they took it down immediately, I think. But still, just I can't believe like the audacity to say that you've come up with something that's inspired by someone and it be their exact work. So you it's perfectly fine to take elements. You could even use the same characters. I mean, they're One Piece characters. They don't belong to me either. Um, so it's perfectly all right to take that and make your own, or something that is your own. I think we talked about a couple of weeks ago, we talked about taking ideas that have already been done and making them original. There's different spins that you can take on them. So I think it's a good idea to, if you're feeling inspired and you want to write something based on something someone else has done, do some research and see what you can come up with on your own, or ask that person that's writing it if you can do a spin-off story based on their story. So you can still have elements of it, but you're not taking their work. I think that's a really great way to kind of move into your own original story. So I hope that helps somebody. It just be careful when you're saying you're inspired by someone and starting a book. Make sure that there's nothing in it that exactly mirrors what they've already done. And be original and come up with your own ideas. And sometimes that can be difficult. And if it's too difficult, then maybe you should move on to do something on your own that you've completely come up with, so that you're not having to rack your brain to stay in that box that someone else has created. So, I think that I will get off my soapbox about that. I just wanted to talk about it for a little bit. We have to go over stuff from last week. So, Abyss Chronica had actually asked me last week, if you were in One Piece, who would you be, and who would you be associated with or affiliated with? And I said that I would be a pirate and that I would be affiliated with Bartolomeo. And some of your responses were really funny. The vast majority of people who commented wanted to just be a civilian, and that really surprised me, because you can base it off of how you are now. That's totally fine. But you're in a complete world of make-believe, so why not just be someone else or be a pirate? Funnily enough, nobody wanted to be a Marine. I don't know why. But yeah, the majority of you guys wanted to be civilians. That's crazy. And good on you, I guess, if you want to be a civilian and stay on one island. But I think if you have the opportunity to be a pirate, go for it. So that was a little funny thing that we had last week. I really enjoyed that you guys answered that question from her. Hopefully we can do something like that again. So last week we did One's Gotta Go, and I gave you guys the Supernova edition, but there were limitations on it. So you weren't allowed to vote for Kid, Law, or Zoro, because we did that in the first episode. And that wasn't Supernova edition. It was just like the most popular guys in One Piece edition. But for this one, the majority of votes actually went to Killer, surprisingly. But you guys voted for Luffy, Killer, X-Drake, and Bonnie, or Jewelry Bonnie. And so I think the first one that I'm going to kick out is actually going to be X-Drake. We don't know a whole lot about him, but we did learn some things about him recently. That he's sort of a double agent of sorts. Spoilers, you guys, sorry about that. But so he's got to go because, if you're still a Marine, fuck you. You can get out of here. The next one to go for me is going to be Jewelry Bonnie. I really enjoy Bonnie's character and I want to know more about her actually. And I'm very thankful for her for helping Zorro out. Um, but I am going to kick her out. The next, so that leaves me with Killer and Luffy. And that is difficult. mm, I think I'm going to kick out Killer. Just keep Luffy. I don't know. Luffy's my bro. And we know the most about Luffy. Personally, I love him. He's a mess. Um, so yeah, I think I'm gonna keep Luffy. So Drake first, then Bonnie, then Killer, then Luffy. That's my version. You guys let me know your versions. And then I'll post the next category for One's Gotta Go on Wattpad probably after this gets posted, either tonight or tomorrow. And I'm going to think of something maybe spooky to do for you guys for next week because we will be posting on Halloween. I'm very excited about that. It's one of my favorite holidays, which I think the vast majority of people, it's one of their favorite holidays. But hopefully we can get something going for that. And I also want to do some kind of Halloween themed one shot, I think, to post up for you guys. So that'll be exciting. But anyway, so that's the end of One's Gotta Go. And then moving into last week's game of Fuck, Marry, Kill, was the Red Hair Pirates. And actually, the majority of you guys picked Shanks, and I was kind of surprised by that. I feel like, I know he's probably the most attractive, but I feel like Ben is definitely husband material. Almost everybody killed Yosip, so poor guy. But yeah, so most everybody married Shanks. Fuck Ben, killed Yosip. That's not the route that I took, but definitely nobody kept Yosip. Poor guy. This week's FMK is Old Man Edition. So you guys can have fun with this one. So your choices this week are Garp, Whitebeard, and Rayleigh. Sorry, I kind of did it for shits and giggles. It made me laugh when I thought of it. I don't know who I choose. I guess. I don't know. Okay, this is gonna sound really mean, but I don't want to do either of these things with Whitebeard, so I think I'm just gonna kill him. Because I don't want to fuck him and I don't want to marry him. Garp, fuck, Rayleigh, marry. Yes. Yeah. I'm gonna go with that. So, okay. Fuck Garp, kill Whitebeard, marry Rayleigh. That's mine. You guys tell me yours. Sorry. And then last week's Would You Rather was, would you rather be a really weak straw hat that always has to be rescued, or be the strongest member of the Foxy Pirates? I chose to be the strongest member of the Foxy Pirates because I would just take them over and make them the Lindsay Pirates. But that was actually pretty even. A lot of you chose to be a weak straw hat, which I get it. Excuse me. But that one turned out pretty even. This week's Would You Rather is a little bit different. It's not One Piece related. So take with it, take what you will. This week's Would You Rather is, would you rather be super intelligent but physically weak, or super strong and mentally weak? So either you're really smart but you can't do anything, you can't fight or contribute really in that manner, or you're super strong but you're really dumb. I think I would, in this case, I don't know why I do this to myself. I think in this case, I would rather be super intelligent and physically weak. Because then at least you could be a support character, and support characters are good. I don't know. I just don't want to be dumb. I'm already not that smart. I don't want to be worse than I already am. But I guess it doesn't matter if you're super strong. Why can't you be like the Hulk and just be super strong and kind of smart? So, anyway, there is that. So this week's Would You Rather be super intelligent and physically weak or super strong and mentally weak? You guys tell me. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up now. This was a short episode this week. And you guys can find me on Wattpad as Lindsay H. That's LYNDSYH. On Instagram as Art by Lindsay. DeviantArt is Lindsay24, LYNDSY24. Or on Twitter at the Lady Bun Bun. Feel free to hit me up there. Let me know your answers to this week's questions. Hit me up with a new question for next week you want to get answered, get a shout out, any topics that you feel I should cover regarding writing or fan fiction writing. Hell, I'll cover anything anime related, fan art even. Let me know, you guys, if you have a suggestion of what you think the next Would You Rather would be, or if you have a great idea for One's Gotta Go, or Fuck, Marry, Kill, hit me up, let me know. Or if there's another game that you'd like to play and kind of see everybody's responses to, definitely let me know. Either below here. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And then follow me on all social media listed just a few seconds ago. And I will see you guys next week. Have a great day.